Welcome to today's Inspire Higher episode. I am Lysa Black from Heart Magic, and I'm delighted to be interviewing Paula McFarlane. She's an insight coach who is passionate about helping women to create work that they love and growing their businesses through sales integrity. Today, the theme of the month that we're going to be exploring together joyfully is feminine leadership, and I specifically requested Paula for this because she is such a powerful example for me around having feminine-based principles guide and lead her business. Welcome, Paula. So lovely to have you, sweetheart.
Thank you, Lysa. It's good to be here. Finally.
I think what's nice for everybody watching this replay is that this is not a live blab. We have had some technical difficulties. We've even had Blab send lovely Paula a message apologising for the technical errors. So we're going to be doing a Zoom call today because it's too important to not talk into this with Paula. We've both dedicated our time, so we're going to be sharing the replay with you. What's exciting is that feminine leadership is a huge topic, and I just want to give Paula a few moments just to speak into what feminine leadership means for her, and then we'll be starting to talk about the bullet points that we want to share in this interview today, and then we'll start getting into it and really feeling into the juicy goodness here. So thank you for joining our Inspire Higher. Talk to me, Paula, about what feminine leadership really means for you, sweetheart.
I guess, for me, feminine leadership, probably for most of my career is not really something that I gave a lot of consideration to. I was really too busy getting on and doing what needed to be done. But, what I've learnt from that experience is actually, as women, we have a very different approach to the way that we lead and the way that we achieve. And it's actually really important for us to be very connected with that, to actually feel that what we're doing is on purpose and purposeful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. We can get busy in the doing, and we can disconnect from that sense of being on purpose, which for women is so valuable, isn't it, hon?
Definitely. And I think, what has been modeled to us all, males and females, is a very masculine way of leading and achieving. And I think that leads a lot of women and men down the road of really using their masculine energy to get what they want, but that doesn't always fully satisfy our needs. And I think particularly as women, our needs are very different. We need to feel connected to our work and spiritually and emotionally fulfilled. It's not satisfying enough for us just to be achieving milestones and ticking off targets.
I love it. Spiritually and emotionally fulfilled. Yes. Could you describe in your own words what you see as being the big contrasting differences between the feminine approach or feminine energy and the masculine approach and masculine energy, just for people who are wanting clarity around what that actually means?
Well, there is an awful lot of information on masculine versus feminine traits on the internet. So that's the first thing that you can do, is have a bit of a search of masculine versus feminine. And what that will give you is a list of exactly how that is differentiated. Mm-hmm. But essentially, when we talk about masculine energy or masculine traits, we're talking about the energy of doing and achieving, of action. And when we're talking about feminine energy, we're talking much more about creating and allowing and including and collaborating.
Okay.
And all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And neither of the two are necessarily right or wrong. Yeah. It's about choosing which aspects of masculine or feminine is appropriate for where you are right now.
Beautiful.
Because we have both of them within us.
Yes.
We're not exclusively one or the other.
Yeah.
We tend to have dominant traits that may be masculine or feminine, regardless of whether we're a woman or a man. But I think what I've really come to realize is that we have the power to choose. I was thinking about it this morning, actually, Lysa, and I was thinking about it, and I gave it a name. It's the Kenny Rogers principle.
Tell me more. Tell me more about Kenny.
The Kenny Rogers principle that came to me this morning when I was thinking about masculine and feminine, and how we have them all as strengths and weaknesses within us. That actually, it's a lot like the song The Gambler. that Kenny Rogers sings, you know, you've got to know when to hold them and you've got to know when to fold them. We have all the cards in our hand. It's about choosing when we play them.
Beautiful.
You know, it's about choosing, am I in a place of creating something new? Because if I am, then it's really important for me to be in my feminine energy and using my feminine strengths of imagination and desire and vision and creation and flow. Or am I in a place of needing to start something, to grow something, to make something bigger? And then I will use my masculine traits of action and getting those to-dos done and being much more focused and directional about what I'm doing.
Having the awareness, hey, to discern whether to hold them or fold them, and then being intentional in which one you actually use. Oh, I just love listening to you speak, Paula. I think what is exciting and what I would love you to share with the listeners for this Inspire High episode is a little bit about your journey and your story that's unfolding right now. I know that you have lengthy experience working with businesses, helping them to grow, working with a sales team and helping them to really sell with integrity. I know that you're in a transition stage, but would you like to talk into what those changes are? Because you're moving from holding them to folding them. You're moving from using a different energy purposefully. Would you be happy to share the story of what's happening in your life right now, Paula?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I think, you know, for me, the exciting part of where I am right now is that is exactly that. I am being far more intentional than I've ever been in my life about choosing what I'm holding and you know, what I'm directing out, because my experience in the past of running two of my own businesses very, very financially successfully, but that didn't feed me emotionally or spiritually or make me feel that what I was doing was going to fill me up. And then, you know, with 10 years in sales, working in an environment where everything was very target oriented, which really fed that masculine side of me, which is very strong. You know, I'm quite a focused, target driven person. So if you give me a number, then I will jump to that number very quickly. But, you know, also at the same time, I was working with businesses, both women and men, and seeing, you know, how it could be done differently, and also coming up against that same thing with other women's businesses where they were able to create something that worked, but that it didn't feed them. So, you know, I became really curious about what is that? And it became really clear to me that there were things that could change quite quickly and easily, which meant that very talented women who were walking away from businesses that they created for themselves because it wasn't feeding them, if they just tweaked a few things, would actually be able to do it quite differently. You know, so since the beginning of the year, I've been stepping into creating a third business, which is insight coaching, with a desire to really help women and men, if they feel drawn to what I offer, to create sustaining businesses that are not only financially viable, but feed them at a soul level, feed them emotionally and spiritually. So for me, the process has been doing the hard yards of that, you know, of actually going, what do I want to create here? And the process of allowing that to develop for me has taken far longer than my masculine doing, achieving energy has been really comfortable with. You know, so that's been a great lesson to me, that it's not a perfect science. You know, and life isn't a perfect science, is it? You know, often we learn more from our mistakes than we do from our successes. And
powerful.
But I'm really, really intentional about creating this from a much more feminine place, because, you know, I have a really strong desire to establish a business that doesn't only succeed financially, but that feeds me in the long term. You know, and so that is why I'm doing it this way, and I'm really quite enjoying it.
I bet you're enjoying it, because I was just going to ask, what are the signs and signals that your business isn't feeding you? What would that tangibly look like in the lives of women that could be listening to this?
You know what? I think for a lot of women, the biggest signal is exhaustion.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
we're actually doing really well. We're getting the numbers that we want to get. We're getting customers through the door. They're loving what we do. But at the end of the day, we just feel empty and exhausted.
Okay.
You know, that sense of I've given everything I've got to my business today, and I don't have anything left for me or anyone else.
Wow. Ouch.
You know?
So this will be having a bearing potentially on their relationship and their relationship with their family.
Definitely. And, you know, I think a lot of women struggle with that, knowing that they're not giving the important relationships in their life what they need because they just don't have it left.
Powerful. So obviously for you, you are intentionally supporting people to be able to create work that really satisfies their soul, that is really fulfilling. What would be some of the signs and signals of having that?
I think, you know, the big one is a real sense of joy around what you're doing. You know, the moments of, I described a week or so ago to my partner that I'd had a really good day at work. And, you know, for me, that was like, it wasn't just a really good day at work. I just felt so joyful about having so much enjoyment out of what I was doing. You know, and that one really good day at work where I knew that I was on purpose and I was creating something really important, but that also filled me up, was more satisfying than any target I've ever achieved. You know, in the sales world, you know, where I was, you know, very, very successful.
Oh, this is juicy. I'm so, so delighted just to hear you sharing these things, because it's so, I think you were talking a little bit earlier with me privately about, you know, how did we get in this position? How have we actually gotten ourselves to a place where we're doing work that leaves us feeling empty? Would you mind sharing your perspective on how did some of us get in this position where we find ourselves now, Paula?
You know, I think as women, you know, we're much more receptive and we're very malleable or mutable, you know, like we are happy to go with the flow and go along with whatever life delivers us. And I think we also place a much higher importance on relationships and family than perhaps some men do. So what I've observed with the women that I've worked with is that career or work choice hasn't so much been about what do I want to do with my life. It's been about what fits in with my relationship or where my partner wants to go, or, you know, what we're building together as a couple, you know, what fits around my children. You know, I just fell into this because that was where I ended up through a series of coincidences or the way that it unfolded. You know, so there's a lot of women in their midlife who are now realizing that they're doing something that they may be very good at, but it isn't actually what they want to do, or it doesn't feel like they're working on purpose. And they're suddenly going, hang on a minute, I actually want to feel connected to my purpose. I want to know what that's all about. It has to be something more than just doing something because I can and I'm good at it and that's what I've learned to do, or that's the way my life's unfolded.
I think we realise that there comes a point when it's time to get selfish.
Yeah, I guess so.
Where we go, you know, us as women are so inclined to be perceptive and aware of the needs of others that we can be so accommodating to the point that we end up in roles and positions and situations where we're placating and supporting those around us, but where we're not supported. Hey,
definitely. And, you know, I don't think that that's necessarily a negative thing. I think, you know, that is just the nature of being a woman, you know, and that having awareness around that can change things really markedly, because you can then make a conscious choice about how much of yourself you're prepared to give, and what you need to get for you to make this work long term.
Would you be happy, for the people that are listening to this, you're talking a lot about being intentional and making conscious choices and being really aware of where you're investing yourself, maybe in masculine energy and feminine energy. Could there be some fears around, if I do try seeking my purpose, am I going to end up with no money? Am I going to have to change my job? What would you say to those people? Is it possible to become more purpose-driven and more fulfilled where they are right now?
I believe that's absolutely the case, and that was actually a big lesson for me in my last job, was that, it's Wayne Dyer. It's a Wayne Dyer quote. If you change the way you view things, the things you view will change. So, becoming really consciously aware of why we react the way we do, why we make the choices that we make, can allow us to find much more sustaining relationships at work in our current job. And we can realize how just a few little tweaks in our life can actually feed us and fill us up far more than we thought they ever would. And I think, sometimes we can have a tendency where we get to the point where we have just had enough and there just isn't anything left as far as we can see, and we can then throw the baby out with the bathwater. Sometimes,
Bye, baby.
And I've been guilty of that in my own life, and that, for me, luckily, because I have that real masculine trait of not allowing things to fall apart. I don't know what you would call that. I'm seeking for a word, but I've always managed to make the best of the bad situation. But I'm really also aware that if I hadn't chosen to throw the baby out with the bathwater, I could have made it a lot easier for myself. But another thing that, when we talked about what I'm creating right now, it would be misleading of me not to acknowledge how much fear there is around making the choice that I've made.
Yeah.
And that, that fear will be there for any woman when she starts to work more towards her purpose or some work that sustains her. Because we're really afraid of giving that to ourselves, and we're afraid of what the cost of it will be.
Yeah.
And, all of our conditioning comes up. My conditioning is very much about achieving success. And so, I've had to face my fear of not getting this right, and there's two sides to that coin, because I fear not getting it right from a success perspective, and I also fear not getting it right from the perspective of I want to create something that's really sustaining and fulfilling. So I think that, fear is normal. It's going to be there, and that's one of the great things about coaching that you'll know as well, is that it can really support you to understand your fears and help you to take steps forward despite the fact that you're afraid.
Powerful, sweetheart. So I'm just recapping you, because that was all golden, that, really feeling into being able to recreate your role so that it can be more soul-filling and soul-satisfying is something that you can do within your own role, or it is possible that you will need to throw the baby out with the bathwater and that it will be time to make a drastic change. And obviously having somebody on board to be able to support them through that transition is really valuable. But in your experience, if you could give people the top 3 tips on being able to make adjustments where they are or move and create something different that will be able to fill them up, what would be 3 things that somebody could do right now to really, really adjust their role or start moving towards change so that they can feel more soul-satisfied?
I think the number one thing is awareness. So before you choose to leave what you're currently doing or to adjust anything, you need to be aware of what isn't working. So, you need to really be able to connect with what needs aren't being met, where you're feeling deprived, where it's not filling you up.
Yeah.
Because unless you get really clear on that, chances are that you might just leave that job and go into another job that does exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the number one thing is holding some awareness of why what you're currently doing isn't right for you or isn't working for you.
Beautiful. I love that. Holding awareness for what isn't working for you. What would be your second one, Paula?
I think my second one has to be get some support, you know, and that doesn't necessarily mean engaging a coach, although in my experience, coaching is a really powerful process for supporting both awareness and change. You know, you can just get support from your normal support systems, your friends and your family, if that's what feels right to you. But having the opportunity to talk what's happening through with someone will allow you to see it from a different perspective. And it will also allow you to feel that there are options, because everyone that you talk to will see it differently, you know? The great thing about having a coach is they can actually guide you through that process, and help you to feel that you've got like a bit of a cheer squad along the way. Which
is, you know, it's almost like if you've got big fears, having a big pom-pom waving soul in your life is kind of required. It can make the difference, hey, in being able to step ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, you know, I can be a little less likely than some people to ring my own bells, and sometimes, you know, having someone to do that for you and to actually acknowledge what is changing and, you know, how much work this has taken for you to even get to the awareness stage can be really massive.
Beautiful.
So I think, you know, everyone needs a support system, a cheerleader, you know, to really take steps forward when we're afraid. It often takes someone to hold the torch and someone to hold your hand, you know, doesn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. If I'm heading in a new direction, I want to get someone on board that knows where I'm going and knows the terrain in a way that I don't, because I don't want to spend time stumbling and fumbling. I want to be able to have that confidence. If I'm gonna launch into a new area like PR and getting interviews and doing that for my business has been a whole new area for me. And while I can talk a tree down, I can talk about anything. It's about purposefully, you know, talking into stories and statements and messages that will really resonate. And so I got a PR coach that can train me up in how to attract the right interviews and the right podcasts and talk about the right things. So I had no idea how to do that, but she's so good at that. It just makes it so easy for me. And she's given me a list of hundreds of podcasts where people are just waiting for you to contact them because they've got this voracious appetite for interviewing. So I didn't know all that existed. Do you know what I mean? So getting someone that knows the terrain is so valuable. So be aware, get some support. What would be number 3, Paula?
Gosh, I think probably number 3 is cut yourself some slack.
I like it. Yeah.
You know, I think we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves to get it right, to get it done, to be further ahead than we are, to have it sorted when we don't. We can be our own worst enemy in terms of self-criticism, self-judgment, and, you know, really, even just basic day-to-day life can be tough, can't it? You know, God, sometimes going to the grocery do the grocery shopping is a nightmare, isn't it? You know? So just, well, look at it today, that technical nightmare that we had trying to get on the blab, you know, well, I could beat myself up and say, well, I should be better at that by now. Or we could just cut ourselves some slack and go, hey, it didn't work today. Let's try something else. Zoom it is. Beautiful. And I think what I love so much and why I really wanted to call you in is that
this isn't just an area of expertise for you. This is something that you're practically, daily investing yourself in creating for yourself. And that, for me, I just respect you so much that when you have a leader who is walking their talk, I just know what you're putting in to be able to craft your own business, insight coaching, to be something that truly nourishes and fulfills you. Because if you've got a leader or someone that's helping you with something and they're not really, you know, a plumber that doesn't fix their own pipes and the electrician that isn't fixing his own wires. So I just really acknowledge you for making this such a high priority. What happened that gave you permission to make this a priority for you, Paula?
Oh, what didn't happen?
You were kind of led, yeah. You were led.
Yeah, I guess you could say I was led, yeah. And, you know, I think, you know, the universe has a way of showing you the same thing over and over and over until you get it. You know, that synchronicity or whatever it is, that where, you know, it's like, you know, you buy a red Hyundai, you've never seen one on the road before, and as soon as you buy a red Hyundai, there's 100 red Hyundais, you know, everywhere, isn't there? And it's as soon as you start really uncovering the parts of yourself that have been feeling deprived, that you lead along that pathway of having to actually address that. And you know, for me, it's been a lot of knowing what I don't want, you know, realizing what I don't want. And instead of going, I don't like this, but that's the way it is, you know, that curiosity of, is there something else? There must be another way, I guess, is what's helped me carry on, even through, you know, some very difficult challenges along the way, and, you know, some risk taking. You know, I've had to really tap into that masculine energy of, it's okay to take a risk. You know, risk equals reward, which is not so much a feminine trait. You know, yeah. And, you know, I've had some great role models, and, you know, Lysa, you know that you're one of them, is you know, seeing other women really working in a way that's connected with their purpose has inspired me to do the same. And, you know, I can't say, I think, you know, the biggest myth that I had to overcome to get where I am now is the myth that your purpose is out there, you just need to find it. You know, your purpose is not out there, it's in here. You know, you're not going to find it. It's not suddenly just going to hit you over the head one day and you'll go, there's my purpose, I'm going to do that. It's a really slow process of going within and uncovering layer upon layer upon layer.
Beautiful. But it's so lovely to know that it is within us, you know. And I think what's exciting for you is that you do have the masculine side of business down. Like, you know how to make a financially successful business, and not everyone knows how to do that. So that is an incredible repertoire of skills that you bring to your coaching. I think that's really exciting. But 10 years in successful businesses and successful sales, I would love to hear you talk more into sales with integrity, because I know it's a core element, you know, helping people to create a business that satisfies their soul is kind of one component, and the other component is growing your business through integrity. And I have so much trust in you, and know that you've got so much experience really working with people to help them learn how to sell effectively and congruently and honestly. Do you think many people are selling with integrity these days, Paula?
I think it's becoming much more clear when people are and when people aren't.
What would it look like?
It's certainly becoming much more clear to me, but, you know, I'm all over that. But I suspect that because it's so obvious to me, it's becoming more obvious to everyone. You know, I think that, you know, the world's changing, and we're wanting to live lives that have more integrity to them. No one wants to have the wool pulled over their eyes. And we talk about the used car salesman and the real estate agent tend to be the ones that get the worst rap. But we all know that the sales style that we're talking about, where people are pressured to buy something that doesn't meet their needs and isn't what they want and isn't sold with integrity, and that doesn't feel good.
No.
And it also doesn't create a sustaining business in the long term, because you want your customers to come back because you gave them a great experience the first time and you solved their problem.
Beautiful.
And so if we see sales as a one-off, how many people can I sell this to that won't create a long-term business. It just won't.
Yeah.
Because you want a customer who you have a relationship with, so that they feel they will come back to you when they have a need that your service will meet or your product will meet, because the experience that they had with you the first time gave them value and solved the problem that they had and met their needs.
Beautiful. I'm just I
was just going to say, the number one thing for me when it comes to selling with integrity is you must love your product.
Totally. Yes.
You must love your product and believe in your product.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one if your product is yourself. Because, there's another whole area that we could talk to for 45 minutes is, loving yourself and, believing in yourself. But if you're your product, that's exactly what you need to do.
No, perfect. Beautiful. And I just love hearing about this from you because, making sure that our sales, it's funny how we even call that, it's not, service to our clients or service to our customers. We talk about it as sales, what we get out of it. But, I just want to, bullet point what you shared there, that our sales can't be once-off transactions. They can't be seen as a short momentary exchange where you just are really in it to get what you want, unless we're really thinking about establishing a relationship that provides a good experience and supports people to come back. We're really doing a disservice to ourselves and a disservice to the customer. So I love that you're talking about creating a great experience. I'm sending out my books soon. And yesterday I found these like Pegasus stickers. Sorry, they're just near my computer. And some like shiny love hearts. And I'm like, oh. So I got them all and I'm just so excited to send out these books and just make it a really magical experience for the people that are receiving it, because you and I are big believers that feeling that someone experiences when they're with you, that actually is substantial. It's a real element and it actually affects our business. That resonance or that vibration is something that we're not qualifying. We're not measuring that on our targets and our KPIs. And for you and I, that is so much of what we think about in our business. And are we really solving their problem? There's so many people that are going to come up with a solution and basically convince you that you have the problem that their solution is going to fix. And that's something, once again, where I just go, do you know what I mean? That angle of trying to then serve by helping them to solve their problem by actually giving them a problem that they don't have is disastrous. Do you know what I mean? Because I think the biggest thing that I'm witnessing right now is that everything is relational. The clients that come to me have heard from 2 and 3 people, that every one of those people has had an amazing experience. If you get one person referring you, it doesn't have as much weight anymore. It's really having a community and a body of people that verify and back up that, you are trustworthy and you are reliable, because there's lots of people that are just once off trying to make that buck and they're not creating sustainable businesses.
No. And, I think it's really actually quite hard because, in our darkest moments when we reach out for something, we reach out for the light that's going to pull us through or help us. Sometimes we can be led down the wrong track by what looks glossy and flashy in front of us.
Yeah.
but doesn't deliver at the other end.
No.
And, you know, that's where that referral relationship becomes so much more important, because, you know, because someone else can, or several people can describe an experience, you know, or having the support that they need, you know, that becomes much more powerful.
Yeah.
Because it's safer. It's a safer choice.
Yeah. And that's what we're all looking for. I think we have been led out of the darkness into untrustworthy hands. And I think we've all done that enough now that we're really scrutinizing our choices. We're really reflecting on, is this a real need? Is this going to help this need? How long is it going to be? What's the investment? What other options are available? What are my peers doing? What are my friends doing? You know, what I see is that when people have a problem, they're turning to their pool of friends on Facebook. And so, you know, more than ever before, if you aren't going to have integrity, you're just not going to survive.
Well, I think, you know, if what you're doing isn't underpinned by integrity, then you have to ask yourself the question, why are you doing it? Don't you?
Yes.
You know,
and you're doing it just to make a buck and to keep on with masculinity.
Yeah. And, you know, that won't be sustaining long term in a financial sense, because you're going to have to continually find new customers, because you're not going to get repeat custom. You're not going to get people who come back to you for support and advice or for an experience over and over again. You're just going to have people that come once and go, actually, I feel a bit ripped off by that. You know?
I hear you, babe. I hear you. If someone in their business was wanting to step more into congruency and integrity and really bring more honesty and really focus more on delivering, what would be one simple thing that they could do in order to strengthen the underpinnings of integrity beneath their business? What would you say?
I think the first thing for me is to, you know, I think we can get really caught up as business people in the theory of how we should sell, you know, and there is so much stuff out there at the moment about how we should sell, how we should create this sales funnel or that sales funnel, you know, and I actually think that to start from a base of integrity, we need to step away from that and go, what is important to me in terms of my customer experience? What do I want them to get or feel from my product or service?
Beautiful.
And is what I'm providing in alignment with that?
How do I want them to feel? This is beautiful. Oh, that's so golden, you know, because that's beautiful to finish up on feminine leadership. We're talking about thinking about our customer experience. How do they want to feel? And actually intentionally then coming back and really thinking about what are we doing using our masculine energy to create that experience for them. Paula, you are a little pot of gold. You are a wealth of wisdom. And I love that you've called your business Insight Coaching, because I just see so much wisdom. Wisdom is probably the biggest word, insight and wisdom in your business, to be able to see through to these things that are actually incredibly important as a foundation for our business.
Yeah, you know, I think for me, it's just been the way that things have unfolded. You know, I've seen a lot of stuff over and over again, and, you know, for me to create something that sustains me, this is how I believe I need to work. And, you know, I see that as being really intentional, you know? Yeah.
Well, what's beautiful is that you've provided so much value in this interview here today. For anyone who is wanting to be able to contact Paula, what's the best way to contact you to find out about what you offer and how people could work with you to bring more integrity, to be able to bring more fulfillment into their work for themselves?
The best way to contact me at the moment is through Facebook. So you can message me through my Facebook page, Paula McFarlane Insight Coaching, or you can send me a personal message on my personal Facebook page, which is just Paula McFarlane. But that's the best place to find me these days.
Wonderful. I'll pop links into the replay below. And What's very lovely is that you are really expanding your business. You have a beautiful circle happening in Christchurch right now that's really going through content every week to help women create work that they really love. You are also now offering private personal work. And would you like to share with us an offer that you have if anyone is ready and wanting to seek you out as a coach right now?
Yeah. I'm currently doing a 3 for 2 with coaching sessions. So that's 3 one-on-one coaching sessions for 45 minutes with me for the price of 2. So that will cost you $150 for 3 sessions instead of $225. And, the reason I like to do 3 sessions is because it gives you the experience of being supported through whatever it is that's happening for you. And it's also an opportunity for you to have any issues or needs addressed, and for you to take action on that and then seek more support if it's necessary. Yeah, so that's why I like to do 3 as a good place to start. So until the end of May, I'm doing 3 for 2, 45-minute sessions for $150.
Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. Well, I can definitely endorse Paula McFarlane, and I'm so, so grateful for what she's already imparted with us here in today's Inspire Higher episode. I love that she's giving us simple steps to be able to make sure that we're nourishing our soul and making sure that we're selling with integrity so that our businesses are sustainable and that they do have a positive impact on everyone around us, including ourselves. So, Paula, thank you so much for your time. I'm so grateful for your wisdom and your expertise.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it. It's been awesome.
So fun. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's Inspire Higher episode with Paula McFarlane talking on feminine leadership. We hope this has helped you. Mwah.